Alameda.
Hey Tom, this is Tashawn Reed from The Athletic. Obviously, the big storyline this summer has been, the reconstructed offensive line. I know it's early on, but, you've seen a few padded practices now. How has the group looked coming together, just chemistry-wise and on the field?
I think, probably exceeding what we were hoping for this early in camp. Just getting, I think, Alex settled in, learning what the pro game's about, getting him as many reps as we can against a guy like Yannick has been really good. But in terms of the camaraderie and the gelling of the group, it's been outstanding. Those guys, really, if you think about it, most of them have been together for a year or two already. So it was a matter of just plugging Alex in and getting Andre ready to go, and so far, so good.
Tom, I know on draft night it kind of caused a little bit of a stir with Alex Leatherwood, but come to find out that he had been on your radar for quite some time, going all the way back to maybe his sophomore year at Alabama. Mm-hmm. What initially drew you to him, and did you guys monitor that throughout the course of his career over there?
Sure we did. I think when those guys kind of present themselves when they're young, you do kind of keep an eye on them. You dig in a little deeper just to make sure you're right. But what we were looking for was a guy that would play every down at right tackle for us and be available all the time, and someone that was really highly, highly competitive. And that's certainly where he came from in that program. That's kind of a way of life for those kids. And then the competition he faced in the SEC, I don't know that anything prepares you as well for the NFL as that league.
Andre James has kind of been in your laboratory the last couple of years. When it came to having to move on from Rodney Hudson, is that a discussion that you have with Coach Gruden in terms of, we're going to be all right? We've got a guy that's been putting in the work. I've been watching him, and we feel good about this transition.
Yeah, you don't move on from a guy like Rodney unless you know that you've got something in place already. If you've got to go get it, whether that be free agency or the draft, I think you're leaving yourself open for failure. And he didn't get to play it all last year because Rodney stayed healthy, but the year prior, making the transition from never being a center to 2 games, Detroit and Houston, and then last year his growth just continued, and he's really taken off. I'm really excited about what I think he can do. But like Alex, for Andre, it'll be about getting enough NFL snaps in him. They're both going to have an issue here or there. We want to make that as smooth, getting through it, learn from it, grow from it, and then never let it happen again. And I think that he's a couple years older than Alex, so he already understands that piece, and so he's good for Alex in that regard.
Does it make you change what you normally would do in the preseason as far as using the starting offensive line?
Not too much. You have to find out the right number to play those guys so they're together in the game, they communicate. Colton and Richie can share with Denzel and Alex what they're dealing with when the tight end's with them, when he's not. The center seeing the different blitz patterns, 3 down, 4 down, nickel. All those things are really important. So we'll find out as we go forward, what we think they need in terms of reps, and then we'll go for it.
Tom, how fine is that line between being excited to rebuild the offensive line on the fly and being like, oh man, we got to rebuild this offensive line on the fly?
No, it's good. I mean, you get used to it. You get used to it. It's not the first time that for me being through it. I think for the guys, as I said earlier, I think the fact that a lot of them have been together, so they know each other as men. Alex is really the one new piece to interject into it. And the thing I'm most excited about is how they've all kind of gone to him. And they're really kind of, big brothers, if you will, for him. And he's good that way. He loves to hear their input. He uses it. So, sometimes I guess if you don't have good pieces, you'd probably be a little more anxious about it. But I truly am excited about what I think they can do. And as the season progresses, I think that they'll just grow and grow. I think like the first month, September, is really going to be a challenge for them. But I like that, and I think they're looking forward to it.
A lot of people's been saying that Alex Leatherwood is very cool, calm, collected, very business-minded and reserved. Would you say, is that something that you kind of like about his personality as a player?
Yeah, definitely. I wanted someone that would be here every day, that you could count on, that loved the game like the rest of them do. He's very introverted. Sometimes he can be even a little bit nerdy, which is cool for an old lineman. I don't have to worry about him out raising hell or doing this or doing that, and he's a pretty focused guy. That was all part of that earlier question, you know, that went into selecting him. This was a guy that really cared about football, extreme competitor. I think that was probably my number one characteristic that I loved about him, that he loved to play and he loves to be great. And as he fails, he learns. And that's the really cool part. And you see him every day just do something a little bit better. So this preseason will be really, really important. But he's been excellent.
Coach, what have you seen out of John Simpson starting out this season, and how well do you think he's progressed from last?
You know, we had a meeting, and I felt like we've got guys who can start that are, quote, backups, if you will. And I think John's one of those guys. I feel like we have 3 starting guards. I think we have 3 starting tackles with Brandon Parker. So, you know, for me, those 2 guys are really key. You know, we have really kind of been stretched a little bit, particularly last year. Injury here. Richie goes out week 2. Got to move Denzel over. John's got to go in. So just learning to do that, you know, learning to play different spots and all, I think has helped John. But I would also say this about John. He, like me, is probably really excited for him in this preseason because he didn't have one last year. And so I think his development really can just shoot off now because he's done everything and then some, weight room-wise, studying it, technique, growing and developing. And so it'll be fun to get him out there playing this next week.
You said you kind of like you used the word nerdy about that, Alex. What parts of his personality does that come across in? Why do you use that word?
Well, he's extremely intelligent, first of all. He's quite well read, studies, likes to read, things like that. That's not necessarily typical for an athlete or anyone. You know, I'm going to go out and have some fun or whatever. And he likes to keep it real, if that's the right word. And so he doesn't really get outside his box, I guess the best way to say it.
Obviously, you know, ideally the starters will, you know, take all the snaps the whole year. But, you know, with last year and you guys having injuries and having to swap guys in and out, depth became something that was very important as the season goes on. Again, I know it's early, but how you felt about the depth that you have across the offensive line so far?
Very good. You know, I think last year was a bit of a blessing in disguise when you got to go through that. So you've got guys prepared. I mean, you think about Brandon Parker went in and played against the Chiefs at left tackle, played against the Chargers at left tackle. And we were able to win one and have a chance to win the other one. So I think him, John Simpson, their ability to help us last year really will impact us this year.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Hey, Rod, you're one of the holdovers from last year's staff.
Just because the microphone. Gotcha. For the TV. Thank you.
How much, I know you guys didn't have a working relationship, but relationship with Gus Bradley over the year.
Oh yeah, we've had a great relationship, and he came from Tampa with Kiff and all that stuff. So really understand him and what he brings, and he brings a great tempo, pace. He's really good, and he's great motivator. And I think the staff he brought with him is really good. I've worked with Richard Smith way back, and so I know the quality of men he brought in with him, and it's been really a nice mesh.
Is it a drastic change from what you guys were doing last year, or subtle, or?
Yeah, it is a little bit. We're probably as not amount of package has probably been cut down a little bit, and so either way it's good. I mean, however, each guy fits each man, but it's based on our speed and the front four and technique, and then we got enough in it to really get going. But it starts with everything starts with being an effort-based defense.
All right, Levi Damien, USA Today. Sorry, back here.
Yeah.
What were you looking to see from Gerald McCoy when he came in for the workout, and what are you looking for from him with the team?
Well, you just wanted to see what kind of shape he was in. He's been off and how he feels and all those things. He came in and he really had a nice workout. I mean, you could see the pop. He's got the twitch still and all of that. And so right now we're progressing him in, and we've got him some individual right now But I mean, just his presence is really good with the guys. He is a wealth of knowledge. He's played the position at a high level, and it's really great to have him here. And it's just a day-by-day process now.
Hey Rod, it's Tashawn Reed from The Athletic. You guys invested a lot at the three technique position this offseason. And I know it's kind of a lot of guys in the mix, but what have you kind of seen from that position group overall so far?
You know, each man is, I thought we've really, the intensity of each guy, I really appreciate how hard they work. As a group, they really work. And these are veteran guys that understand the why. But I like it so far. You know, I'm rolling those guys in. It's just a day-to-day process right now. And what I've seen, I've really liked. And good, solid work every day. And they come to work every day. First rule of getting better, go to work. And they've done that. And I really appreciate it.
Coach, what went into your mindset of really wanting to go out and get Malcolm Kuntz, and what have you seen from him that you've liked so far through training camp?
Yeah, you know, his tape was really good. I mean, he's got a really good bend at the top of the rush. You know, when you can bend and the movement and the speed. And he's going to be a big guy. He's young and he's going to fill out. And so we saw a guy who could pass rush. And it's always tough when these guys first come in because everything you've done before, it doesn't work anymore. And so it's a get off and just the details. But he comes out each day, he works at it, and I appreciate that. And it's a day-to-day process. It's tough. And but boy, he's got enough talent to really help us as a pass rusher.
Rod, how much more versatility do you have to work with in that front four?
Yeah, there's guys that can play the under and that can play the nose. I ask each man to do that. Make sure you know in two positions. Some of these unders could go play the big end for us, need be. Okay? So, because they're all pretty athletic. We got nice speed, good athletic guys who work. And so that allows you to do a little bit more.
Rod, Clee's playing with that second unit, it looks like. That's, you know, you could look at that as a demotion, considering he was a starter last year. Is that a conversation you have with them, and are we reading too much into?
Kind of reading. I'm just getting him out there, and I want all these guys, and you know, then each padded practice matters, and then your preseason games matter. Plus, he's also working inside a little bit in our nickel rusher, competing in there. So what I've tried to do is just get every man as many opportunities, day by day process, and let's see where we're at as we go.
Any more guys? You good?
Good.
Okay, thank you.
Good to see you.
Hello.
Raiders have made a lot of investment in the secondary over the last few years, a lot of first-round picks, second-round picks. As you were, you know, in the process of moving over here, how much, you know, did you look into it? Obviously you did, but what were your impressions of some of these young guys that have, you know, been kind of having some growing pains these first couple of years for them?
Well, we evaluated a bunch of these guys when we were with the Chargers, so I had a pretty good feel. I already knew that they had talent, and they really do have talent. And our job here, especially with this new staff, is try to get that talent to get a little bit better. And that's I just think that John's on his way, Mullen's on his way, Arnett's on his way, and so it's my job as well as the rest of the staff to just get them a little bit better.
Hey Ron, this is Tashawn Reed from The Athletic. Obviously, you know, you've coached defensive backs for a long time. So you've had young rooms before. What's kind of your approach that you learned has been the best when it comes to kind of grooming and developing a young defensive back room?
Well, you know, the biggest thing I say with our players is that I try to be demanding, but not over the top. I just use this analogy with these guys today. It ain't prison, but it ain't a country club. So it's somewhere in the middle there is where we got to get these guys to perform. You know, there's going to be some times where I got to love them up because they're going to need that love, and then there's other times like, come on, man, we got to do better than this. And I think that's where I come into play, trying to make sure that these guys are held accountable, but not so over the top that they don't like the game of football. We got to keep the love of the game of football, and if we can get them to do that, we may like our results on Sundays.
We've seen you be pretty competitive out there. There was some chirping going on with your
Friendly
own guys.
chirping.
Yeah, you know what I'm speaking?
Yeah.
With Derek Carr on the other side. How much of that is kind of backing your guys up, trying to get them motivated? also maybe, trying to push and prod Derek a little
It's
bit?
a little bit of both, I could say. I mean, you're trying to create a competitive environment, and by doing that, their juices get wound up. And obviously, I'm cheering for our side in that drill and trying to get our guys to compete. And if we can compete in that drill, in particular one-on-one, and win our share with a rush, and everybody's doing the right thing, we should be pretty good on Sundays.
Ron, you had Damien USA Today.
Uh-huh.
You talk a lot about the younger guys and high picks that, developing and coming along. What role does Casey Hayward play in all of that?
Well, to me, he's big, and I think he's been here for a couple months now, and he's already made a difference. I've been around Casey for 4 years. This will be my 5th year with the kid, and what he is a true pro, and he's someone that they can bounce stuff off of. Plus, he leads by example. Now, it's not always example. He'll tell them, hey, that's not quite how we do it, but Casey is a pro. And I think that's what he brings to the table. He's not the only pro we have out there. I mean, just bringing back Carl to the organization. I think Carl Joseph is another guy that he's a veteran and been around the block, knows how to get himself prepared for a game. So with those two guys in particular, their young guys have a chance to look at a guy or two that have done it before, and this is how you get it done.
You've never shown a hesitancy to play young guys in your career. Here comes Trayvon Marg and Nate Hobbs. We see them out on the field playing with the ones and twos. How are they fitting in? And
I think they're both doing great. Just like anything else, they got to go win the job. We're gonna try to spoon feed them. We're not just gonna give it to them. And at some point they'll be ready. I can't tell you when they're gonna be ready, but at some point they will be ready. I think they're both coming on. I like their mentality. I think that they're going to be great pros, okay, just by how they're interacting with our guys and how they're going about their business every day. They're attentive in the meeting. They know what they're doing. We just got to get them to consistently do it on the field.
Yeah, Ron, obviously the defense as a whole is kind of limited in how physical you can be in these practices, even with pads on. So what do you kind of focus in on when you're evaluating how defensive backs perform in practices? More about positioning and technique. What are some of the
That's probably the biggest thing. Get yourself in the position where when it is live, you're capable of making those plays. And it might be something as little as get your inside foot up, being square, and how you approach a ball carrier in the open field. Even though you're not going to tackle him, how are you going to approach him? And that's what we're trying to teach our guys right now, okay? This is how it's going to be done, and when it's time to get a guy on the ground, hopefully we're going to be able to do it.
Coach, how impressed have you been with the competition at slot corner between Amik, Hobbs, and Nevin Lawson?
Well, we've got a lot of guys there that's capable of doing it, and just like you said, I've been very impressed. Part of it, too, especially like a guy like Nevin. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. I think he played primary outside when he is with his organization. He's kind of learning how to become an inside defender. So he's learning on the run. Nate basically played outside at Illinois, so he's learning on the run. But they've got the ability, just like Amik. Amik a year ago tried to learn a little bit of nickel, and he's another guy that's getting better. So all three guys are young at the position. It's not like we've got a guy that's played the spot for the last 3 or 4 years. No, these guys are learning at the position, but they're going to be fine when it's all said and done. I like Nate. I like Amik. And obviously I like La. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when we get closer to real games to see who actually runs on the field.
When you talk about developing the guys that have been here and, furthering their career and getting them better, how much is dealing with maybe some confidence of last year didn't go so well, maybe you didn't do what you wanted to do, and trying to build our confidence back up?
Well, I don't know about that part. We don't talk about a year ago. We just start from whatever the starting point that we got them, and just try to get better from that point on. Again, last year is last year. All I know is what I've known since January, and so that's where everybody's got a clean slate with me. Okay, so Arnett's I think he's doing a great job. When you watch him out there on the field, he's moving pretty good. He's got his weight up, so those things are on the come. I think Mullen's doing a good job. I don't know how you guys feel. I'm just going from January to this point, and I think they're doing a good job. So for me, is every day try to get a little bit better and not think about whatever happened a year ago, because that's not any of my business, and we just keep on from January until we get to our first game.
Colin,
on those same lines, what have you seen from Abram, and how crucial is that box safety role in this defense?
It's very crucial. I can say this for John. John has done everything we've asked him to do. Okay, we asked him, hey, John, can you come in a little bit lighter? What did he do? He came in a little bit lighter. Okay, John, and you guys know John, he chirps a little bit, right? Okay, you turn your volume down just a little bit, John, and he's done that. And I think he's going to make him a better player. That's just me. Now, when it's all said and done, he's got to do it on Sundays in September, October, and December. But John has gotten better in my opinion, and just doing the little things right, trying to get his body in the right positions. And so, you're asking me. I think John's going to have a great year.
You guys all set? All right, thank you.
All right, thanks.